one of the big things is showing up authentically, but doing it in a way where you know yourself. You're not just trauma dumping. You're not just, showing up and trying to serve yourself and serve your story. You're really trying to serve your audience, and you're really trying to facilitate others and love and give that value to others through your story and helping take them on a journey that they can see themselves in.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Regan, and today's guest is Molly Hildebrandt, a keynote speaker, executive coach, and leadership development expert who empowers both leaders and parents with science-backed tools to build mental resilience and unlock lasting transformation. With a background leading global leadership development for a major software company, she understands the intense pressure high performers face, and she helps her clients turn that tension into strategic advantage. Through dynamic keynotes, immersive workshops, and one-on-one coaching, she equips individuals to break through overwhelm, develop unshakable clarity, and create sustainable work-life harmony, whether in the boardroom or at home. And it's a pleasure for me to have her on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Molly.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for coming, Molly. It's a pleasure to have you on. When it comes to your coaching business, I want to understand what inspired you. Like, how did this get started? What inspired you to become a coach and then start your own coaching business?
It's a bit of a story. I don't know how much time you have. It started because I was like you had mentioned in my bio, I was the head of leadership development for this global software company. And I was certified in various programs and very specifically in different personality profiles, Myers-Briggs, Insight Discovery, DISC. We've heard of them, right? But I was finding they weren't quite moving the needle in the way that I had hoped within the organization. I was finding people still were feeling this missing sense of confidence, this missing sense of purpose, and they just weren't aligned with the organization's mission and vision the way that I thought they could be. So I was out on this mission to find a business and to find a company that could empower me and train me and give me the resources to then help facilitate these leaders that I felt were under my care in this organization. So I'm out on this quest and I come across this company called Flowsys. Flowsys is your unique process for flow. And they have a proprietary model of the mind and brain, which is a nerdy way of saying they help facilitate complete transformation in your life, mental and emotional transformation. And they do that in many different ways. Most specifically is with this model that helps people determine who they are intrinsically, their mind and their soul. Who are you that some might say that cause within you, right? Everything that you do comes out of that. And right there, I knew something was very different because all these personality tests that I was certified in, they're really measuring your behavior relative to the context that you're in. Context like work, home, volunteering. This was really figuring out who you are regardless of your context, the true you, if you will. And so as I started learning that, I was like, there is something really different here. This is really empowering. And then I started to understand their developed model for communication. And I realized how often not only myself, but everyone I interacted with was pretty generally a pretty poor communicator. And I was starting to see how it is impacting, yes, communication within the organization, but impacting people's mental health. It was impacting their ability to have profitable interactions, effective interactions. It was hurting team dynamics. It was hurting the effectiveness of teams, productivity, attrition. All of these things were being impacted by poor or unhealthy communication. And as we continue down this journey of understanding this model, it breaks up the thought process of the human brain into 4 different quadrants. We have 4 different thought processes. And once we kind of get these things all aligned, we started working on our mental and emotional triggers, depression, anxiety, burnout. So I'm learning all of this professionally, but behind closed doors, I was a bit of a wreck personally. I was doing all of the things that I thought I was supposed to be doing as a woman in her, I think at that time it was early 30s. So the top of my career, I have the prettiest house on the block. I have two beautiful brown-eyed boys, and I am just think I'm crushing life. I'm also running marathons all the time. I was a marathon runner, and most specifically half marathons were like my jam. So I'm running all the time. There was a season of time where I was actually running a half marathon every single weekend. And it was on this one run that I kind of had to come to terms with the imposter syndrome that I was dealing with this lack of confidence. Because what would happen is I had this facade, I had this mask that everyone saw, that I thought I had to be this person for everyone. I thought I had to be this person for me too.
Mm-hmm.
I was crumbling. I go inside, I come home from work every night, close the garage door, go in the house, and I am dealing with triggers. I'm dealing with depression. I'm dealing with burnout. I don't know who I am. I'm communicating in terrible ways. I'm hurting my relationship with my children, with my partners, with my friends and family. And I'm just not a healthy or whole person, just showing up very broken. And so it was on a run one day where I was on a training run. I was supposed to do 20 miles on this run, 10 miles out, 10 miles back. And I chose a path that I knew I could just get in the zone, no distractions. And it was out in the middle of nowhere, really. It was a very secluded, isolated path. And it was about mile 7 that I actually passed out on the run. And while I'm in this very secluded, very scary place, and I managed to, get up safely, I get back to safety, thank God, I had to start coming to terms over the next year that I was losing running. I was losing the thing that I thought was who I was. Running was my identity. And what I had to really start unpacking and realizing was that running was my identity. Being a businesswoman was my identity. Being a mother was my identity. Being the best at everything was my identity. I had all of these labels and all of these ways that I viewed myself, and none of them were who I actually am, who I actually was, right? And so I had to start unlumping what I have from what I do from who I am. And so as I'm doing all this professional development on the business side, it really started to translate over into the personal side, because what I was doing is everything was principle based with Flowsys. So I started using it at home because it's contextless. It doesn't matter what context I'm in. I can use it anywhere. So I started using it with my boys. I started using it with my friends and my family, and I started healing these relationships. I started dissolving my triggers. I started dissolving these issues that were so pervasive and quite literally crippling for me. And so as I went on that journey for myself, it was in this moment of seeing my boys. I was on a walk one night. We lived a couple blocks away from a public access to a lake. And we would ride our bikes. The boys would ride their bikes and I would walk, and we'd go down there. We'd look at shells and rocks and all the little things, treasures. And it was this moment where I actually took a selfie, and I have it to this day, where it was this moment where the boys were smiling. And it was the first time that I saw a light or a sparkle in their eyes in the longest time. I hadn't seen that in so long. And it was this shocking moment of realizing that the reason they're getting healthy and they're happy and that we're healing is because I'm healing. I'm getting better. And so my boys were on this journey, and their journey was only possible because me as the parent was willing to start that and go through that first. And it was in this moment of seeing them healthy and happy and start to become leaders in their classroom with their friends and their peers. That's when I realized, if I of all people can heal, if I of all people can get better, then I know that I can help other people do the same. And that the journey that everyone is on, and the dissatisfaction, the lack of happiness, the frustration, the burnout, the triggers, the guilt, the shame, all of these things that so many people are feeling either in business or in their personal life, that doesn't have to be their story. That doesn't have to be their legacy. And so that was when I really realized I need to go back and I need to become certified in this. It's one thing to go through my own transformation. It was at that point that I knew I needed to help facilitate transformation for other people.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. That is an amazing story. And I like that your focus is not just on leaders as leaders, but also them as parents. because all of it is connected. There's not like a different world where you're just like in the office and another world where you're at home. So when you're working with your clients right now, which part of and going through your coaching journey with them, which part of that coaching journey do you find the most rewarding?
Well, the reality is that we work with people. And people are the people we work with. I mean, all of our teams, right? We have a work team, we have a home team. All of these teams are with people. And so I would definitely say it's the fact that when they start to heal some of their damage, their baggage, their trauma, their triggers, they really go through this healing journey, and then they're able to show up in a healthier place in every context that they show up in. I do think it's this parenting thing. I think it's this specifically, I'll go a step further and say that it's this professional woman is really, it's so empowering to work with a professional woman who is so accomplished, who is so good at what she does, yet she feels like a failure. And I think I find it so rewarding to help unlock and unleash this unlimited potential within these women, because they know they're made for something great, but their approach to doing it is through burnout, and it's through effort, and it just exhausts them, and it's not sustainable. And so I love facilitating them with the tools and resources to still get a lot done, still accomplish a lot of things, but to find the fun in it, to find the healing in it, to still be able to have healthy relationships and not just bulldoze or bully in order to get higher in an organization or to get things done. And I think it's really there that I love helping these professional women be better moms, be better partners, be better executives, because they themselves are better.
I feel a lot of women that are going to be listening to this are going to resonate, especially with the story and everything that you said. Now, just to clarify a little bit for the audience, when it comes to the clients that you work with, is there a certain ideal client profile? I hear women, and is it just women leaders? Is there a certain industry or a certain demographic within women? Or how would you describe the ideal client profile that you work with?
Yeah, so this is where I'm going to be a little different from some of the other coaches you've probably had on. I'm not looking for a certain level of accomplishment. I'm looking for someone who's humble and willing to consider a new perspective. And they're willing to embrace the tension that comes with growth. We don't grow without tension. And tension, we often think of tension as a bad thing, and it's not. It's how we embrace it. It's how we harness it, and we can use it in a positive or negative way, right? If we think about stress, there's this really famous TED Talk by Dr. Kelly McGonigal about how to make stress your friend. And it talks about how when we experience stress, our body releases oxytocin, which we know is the hug drug, right? But really what it's doing is it's telling us our body doesn't trust us to reach out for help when it's experiencing stress. So what does it do? Do you think oxytocin creates more stress, less stress, or has no effect on the internal tension we feel?
I feel like it might not have effect.
Not have an effect? No, this is amazing. I know. I put you on the spot there. That's unfair of me. Actually, oxytocin is increasing our internal stress. So when we go through stressful experiences, our body actually increases our stress in order to push us to share. Because there's a part of our brain, 90% of our brain, it's our unconscious brain, that is where our behavior lies, our energy lies, our attraction lies, all of these behavioral elements. And it doesn't know what we're thinking and feeling until we say it or until we write it. Our body doesn't trust us to share, so it ramps up that tension and pushes us to share more. So to answer your question, who is like this ideal audience? It's this person who's ready to embrace tension, because we are going to experience that together, but you're going to have someone right there in it with you. And I'm going to be with them every step of the way. But it's not going to be easy, because transformation's not easy. I had an individual who came to me looking to receive coaching. And while he was pondering my offering, he's like, I really have to come to terms with if I'm ready for change. And I was like, oh, I think that's a great idea. He's like, because I think your program sounds deeply transformational, and I'm really comfortable. I'm not sure if I want transformation. I was like, that's amazing. you absolutely need to wrestle with that because it is going to make your life uncomfortable. It is going to push you to use, once you know the healthy communication guidelines, once you know the healthiest way to interact, every time you don't use it, you're going to feel a little tick inside of you knowing that you're hurting the mental health of the other person and yourself. And you have to be okay with that. So it's this whole journey of once you learn it, you can't really unlearn it. So you have to be okay going through this transformation and ready to embrace it. And I have some insane case studies of people who have embraced it and they've gone on their own journey of transformation and they are completely crushing it in their work life and their personal life and all of the areas that they show up because they know who they are and they know how to be the healthiest, most whole version of themselves.
Absolutely. So when it comes to this transformation and you working with your clients, how would you describe the engagement there? Is there a certain program length? I can imagine like transformation does take its time as well. So how would you describe the engagement for anyone who would be interested in working with you?
It's very much, I have a couple options based on someone's budget, based on, their timeline and what it is they're looking to accomplish. But I have what I like to call is my flagship program. It's my Flow Leadership Coaching Program, and it's 20 weeks. And that is an intensive one-on-one. We work for 50 minutes a week together. It's tailored to walk them through a full mental and emotional transformation. For some people, it turns into a spiritual transformation, which I think is really fun for them as well. So that's that approach. I do partner with FlowSys, so I don't receive any funds for this. It's just more of their tools work, and I want people to get healthy. So I love sending them that direction. But they have two really beautiful programs that I recommend clients to purchase on their own that, again, I don't receive any proceeds from. But then as they watch those video on demand online courses, I then will work with them on a weekly basis to coach them along their journey to really provide that tailored approach. So for example, one of the lessons is learning about the amygdala, that part of our brain that hijacks our conscious brain when we have a trigger, a mental or emotional trigger. So we go into fight, flight, or freeze. And so I like to work with individuals to determine what are their unique triggers, because your triggers are different from my triggers, and they're different from so-and-so's triggers and the other person's triggers, right? We all have unique triggers. So what I like to do is the theory is in the online course, but I like to take the application and make it very personal for them, because I believe a lot of transformation takes place in the application, not just in the theory. And again, that's where what I offer is very different. I don't stop at awareness with clients. I don't stop at theory. I am very heavy on application and working through this unique journey with someone so that they can get the most from their experience in our time together.
And it's right after these 20 weeks, let's say, of that program that they feel that they cannot unlearn what they learned.
I think after each session, there's a little bit of that where it's like, oh, we just learned something really profound. For example, like I had already mentioned, the healthy communication guidelines. So now you know how to communicate in a healthy way. Now you learned that there are no zero events with the brain. So every time you interact with someone, your thought process, your mental health is either getting better or it's getting worse. The mental health of the other person is either getting better or getting worse. So now, every time you use unhealthy communication, you have to be okay knowing you hurt your mental health and the mental health of others. And so it kind of becomes this like little internal unconscious confrontation for people as they learn new information in each lesson. So the transformation, it's a journey of transformation. And that's where I love coaching so much, is that I get to be on that journey with them. So that's where I actually teach the information. But I do have executive coaching with clients as well, where they'll bring issues. We meet weekly, they bring issues, and then we work through them. But I'm always applying it, running it through this filter of how the mind and brain work so that they can actually dissolve the issues that they're dealing with. There's all these different options, but most consultants take the solve approach, which actually ends up making 3 more issues that cumulatively can often be bigger than the first issue. So that's where I take a dissolve approach, where we're looking at the uniqueness, we're looking at the intangible cause of that root issue to help them address it from that perspective.
And is there also group coaching, or is it mostly you interacting with them one-on-one?
Great question. I've actually just recently started group coaching. So it's not been an offering I've done historically because, again, I love the one-on-one, but I find group coaching to be a really fun and really unique experience for people. So I do offer that as well.
Cool, cool. And yeah, I was just thinking because we were talking about communication and maybe that communication just applies in that group session immediately. So it's so interesting. So for the coaches that are listening, this is going to be something that they would be interested in. When it comes to marketing channels, what marketing channels are working well for you? Where do you find your clients or where clients find you right now?
So I'm pretty heavily on Instagram. I really began my journey on LinkedIn. That's where it began many years ago. I created 2 videos a week with little nuggets, little digestible nuggets for people. And after a while, I realized I was getting clients from LinkedIn. However, it wasn't a great place to point people back to reference these little nuggets as a follow-up to our conversations. So I created a YouTube channel. Very few followers there because the goal of that has really been to point people to playlists or to point them to a specific video to refresh themselves from a lesson. So that's really where it began as far as creating some visibility, social visibility. But I am continuing to focus more of my attention and effort on Instagram and Facebook. Now, the reason I do that is because I want to have the online credibility. I think in this day and age, having that social presence for someone to hear how you speak, hear how you engage, understand your speaking style, your storytelling style, kind of understand more about you, there's that comfort level that comes and is available through social media. So I like to have that presence there. But as far as actually gaining those clients, for me, I have most of my business, majority of my business is referral. Someone heard me speak and they refer me to a board that they're on or another convention that they're going to. I get clients from my speaking engagements as well, directly from those previous coaching clients. They'll refer me to friends, family, business partners, associates, and a lot of networking. So when I show up at any place, it's probably going to be weird to say in a business setting, but I'm looking to love. I'm looking to show up and I'm looking to bring a value without any expectation in return. And I think what happens is that, call it karma, call it justice, whatever aligns with you. But I believe what happens is that I kind of receive in return from that. So I don't show up at a networking event looking to tell my story, looking to pitch my products or my services. I look to show up and to serve and to love other people and to create connections. And I think that people vibe that sincerity and that authenticity. And as a result, a connection is created. And without a doubt, I walk away with a dozen or so business cards of people who want to meet or talk or connect or know of an upcoming conference, or they sit on a certain board, or they personally need coaching, or their friend just took over a business. And that's a huge part of it for me, is this thought process, this mindset going into these settings. So I think it's a combination of being in the room with the people that can hire you or bring opportunities to you, but also how do you approach those opportunities so that you can really maximize your time and connections with those individuals.
And it goes back to the principles of communication that you just mentioned earlier. So it's like you set the mood for the people that you talk with the way you express yourself. Right now, in your coaching business, for the future, do you have any goals for the next 1 to 3 years that you're working towards?
I just joined a board recently, actually just this week. It's a women's conference called Illuminate. And it's an absolutely incredible conference, really looking to help women experience transformation and to step into that. And I think that's something that I'm really looking to have more involvement with, is helping further this movement and helping to connect more women and help them not just accomplish more, but to, as they're accomplishing more, to do it with a sense of confidence and health and certainty that they're doing it in the right way. So I would definitely like the opportunity to support more conferences and to speak on additional stages. So something that I think can be misunderstood if I say it a certain way. So I'm going to say it and then I'm going to explain what I mean. So I'm looking to get on larger stages. What do I mean by that? And why do I say it in that way? I say it that way because there was one day that I had a coaching session with a woman, and she experienced this breakthrough moment, this deeply held belief that she had since she was a child from the way her mother spoke to her about her identity. And we had this incredible breakthrough, and she started to really see herself from a completely different lens and see her value and her power and her worth, and really started to wrap her arms around her identity, her intangible drivers, her uniqueness. And it was 2 hours later that I stood on a stage with 100 people in the room. And I was able to help facilitate the same thing. And it was this moment of, I love coaching. I get so much energy coaching because I want to help remove hurdles that are holding people back from making progress in their mental and emotional life, right? That's part of my core. But I also want to be able to do that for as many people as possible. And if I'm only reaching one person at a time, at max, that's 8, maybe 10 people a day. If I really push it, that's a lot. So my impact is limited. So what I would love to do is to get on bigger stages and to continue growing as a speaker. Hopefully we're never done growing in anything. So I want to continue growing. I want to be a better storyteller. I want to be a better engager, someone who engages really well with the audience and helps facilitate that transformation. And if it's in these micro moments on stage, and to help facilitate them on their journey, whether it be through coaching after the fact, group coaching, workshops. And I'm also building an online course right now all about uniqueness. So they could sign up for that after these stages as well. So I want to help continue building out these conferences, continue helping reach more people on larger stages, and then facilitating them with more courses. I'm also co-authoring a book at the moment as well, a workbook for professional women. So that's something that I would like to continue the journey down, being an author and an online creator, online course creator and speaker.
Interesting. That's exactly what I was thinking. And it seems like you're already in that path. I was thinking, except for stages, what else could you do to reach out to more people and scale that impact? And it's exactly that, the book, the courses, because even if if you were to coach people one-on-one, that is a limit based on your time. So at least from the book, you can scale that with many, many copies of the book. So what would you say is a challenge right now for you? Where is the bottleneck for you getting there?
My capacity. The reality is that I have multiple businesses as well. And I am the primary caretaker for our family. My husband works a full-time job as well. And I technically work unique business hours, mornings, around nap time, evenings, and then a few concentrated days throughout the week. So I would say it's just more of that capacity at the moment is the bottleneck for me. My son, so our youngest is 3 and he'll be going into school next year. So I anticipate that will adjust in coming months. However, that's just the reality of my situation. And it's a life choice my husband and I have made, is that we have 4 children and the time that we have with them is limited. And we love our family. We love helping create them into these incredible human beings that are mentally and emotionally healthy and happy and love their life. They know their uniqueness. They know how to communicate in healthy ways. Our boys are becoming men. Our daughter is becoming a woman. And I just love being able to facilitate that for them. And I think I would be living contradiction if I was trying to do that for everyone else, but not doing that in my own home and in my own life. And I know that I could send my son to daycare and still be doing all of this, right? I could still be facilitating his mental and emotional growth and progress. But in these really early years, we've chosen to have me be the primary caretaker for him. So it's capacity at the moment.
Absolutely. And I would say you're very lucky to have 4, I imagine, beautiful children.
Yes.
So yeah, amazing. And now I also wanted to talk about something else, which goes back to that research. What have been some good investments that you've made in your coaching business or in yourself that you feel very proud about? And maybe what have been some not so good investments that you feel like you could have avoided, if any? Maybe there's none.
That's such a good question. I think one of a couple good investments is when I look at my finances and my budget from a business perspective, it's separating out kind of the physical goals from the tangible goals from the intangible goals. So what do I mean by that? The impact that I have is intangible. So I will sometimes go on a stage and speak and not get paid for it because I feel so strongly about the cause, or I feel so strongly that I'm supposed to be in the room with those leaders and I'm supposed to facilitate them. So I think that's something that I will kind of do a heart check when I'm asked to speak for free or for a significantly lower speaking fee, to make sure that it's not just about numbers. Because again, I live my life very much according to this justice and karma setup where it's like, I believe that what I put in, I will get in return. Maybe it will be financially, maybe it will be intangibly, spiritually, right? And that has really served me very well. And it's not this woo woo, approach. I do obviously make very sound financial decisions, but there are times where I don't need to be paid. I don't need this money per se, but I can see the impact that showing up and being on that stage or being in that room could have. And I'm able to then facilitate those individuals. And then I end up getting coaching clients from it, or I get another speaking opportunity from it. So it does end up coming back to me. But I think that's been a really unique experience for me in this business and in this industry, is putting more importance on the intangible than the tangible. So I'd say that's definitely an interesting thing. And then also putting my money behind my passion. So again, what I mean by that is there's a conference that I feel really strongly. And again, I was just asked to sit on the board and I'm thrilled to be on it. And I love sponsoring it because I love what they're doing. And that's important to me. I want my name, my brand associated with these really great movements and these really great opportunities. So really showing up in a space and being willing to invest where I think there's going to be that impact as well because of that ROI. Again, that ROI may be tangible, but it might also be intangible as well.
Absolutely. And it's like with these events, even though you don't like get that immediately, it's almost like you're paying it forward with your time and eventually it just turns back to you. It's just like you said, it's not some movie. It's all logical. It's just that it's delayed. So I actually really liked our conversation, but the last question is, what advice would you give to other coaches just like yourself who are looking to scale their impact? If there's any other advice, because you've shared quite a few.
That's such a good
It
question.
would be like an advice. So to remove the pressure, because you might be thinking of different coaches, it's like coaches like yourself. So it'd be like an advice you'd give to yourself.
Continue showing up authentically. That was the biggest shift for me. And it's actually, as much as I've done so much work to grow in my uniqueness and to dissolve my imposter syndrome and to be confident in who I am, regardless of what anyone else thinks, there was this level of fear that I had, especially in this day and age where everything, we're in cancel culture, right? At any moment, someone can disagree with what you say and try to shut you down. And so I think there was this sense of fear around being too honest about my story and being too vulnerable with my story. But what I've really found is I've started sharing it in a raw way in April this year. And I've been doing this since 2001. I'll share in a one-on-one coaching environment when I've built a relationship and I think it's for their benefit. But standing on a stage or being on a podcast, sharing that raw and that vulnerably, and it feels very intimate, was terrifying for me. But I think it's unlocked something in me and in the audience. And what it's doing is it's breaking down this barrier. And I think what it's doing is it's giving people hope. And I think they're able to see themselves in my story. And they're able to see either where they're at now or where they were. They can see how broken they are where they were, and that it's possible to not have to stay there, that they can repair with their children that they used to yell at or resent or not enjoy spending time with. They can get to such a degree and repair that to such a degree like I've been able to do. Or I just got back from a trip to Scotland with my 15-year-old son, who was my companion for 10 days. And we had the most beautiful time together. And our relationship has completely transformed because of applying these tools and principles. So I think one of the big things is showing up authentically, but doing it in a way where you know yourself. You're not just trauma dumping. You're not just, showing up and trying to serve yourself and serve your story. You're really trying to serve your audience, and you're really trying to facilitate others and love and give that value to others through your story and helping take them on a journey that they can see themselves in. So I think it's definitely authenticity and owning your story, owning your journey, and seeing how your story can reach and help others.
That was beautifully said, Molly. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, and I appreciate for you coming to our podcast. Hopefully more people will be listening to you and reaching out to you and getting some more help. It would be great to have that. So for anyone who wants to reach out to you, they can go into your LinkedIn, Molly Hildebrandt. They'll be able to find you there. There's also the website, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. mollyhildebrandt.com.
mollyhildebrandt.com. Okay, cool. Is there any other way that people can reach out to you if they wanted to?
Yeah, I think following on Instagram, I think there's a great opportunity there as well. My social handle is @the_Molly_Hildebrandt.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Molly. And thank you for coming to our podcast today. It was lovely having you on the show.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.